Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, from Bermuda, PGA Tour player Andrew Novak.
What's up, everyone? Carolina Panthers are on a win streak. We're making our playoff push. I'm excited to talk about it. Let's get into it.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Screenplay_podcast. New episodes drop 8 a.m. on Wednesdays, wherever you listen to podcasts. We've also partnered with Wager Games. They are giving our listeners a $100 deposit match on the Sleeper app. We love the Sleeper app for fantasy. I like it better than the ESPN one. Head over there or head over to our Instagram page. Click the link, promo code, get your $100 deposit match. I'm looking at it now. I like the AJ Brown more than half a touchdown on Thursday night. Yeah, like you just said, Panthers on a win streak. Patriots kill the Bears. Cowboys and the Jets in tank mode. We're gonna get into all of it. I liked a lot of what I just heard. Let's start
Yeah,
off.
how
Let's
many
start.
times does that happen? Panthers and Patriots win, and then the Cowboys and Jets lose for you? How about that? What
Yeah,
a week.
good week for me. Monday Night Football. Dolphins defeat the Rams 23-15. Honestly, kind of a stinker on Monday night. Not too crazy either way. I expected a better performance out of the Rams than what I got. But Tua's back. He's playing well. His last three starts, 73 of 94, 78% completion, four touchdowns, one pick. He's proven why they paid him. Tua out there, they're a whole different team than what they got. Stafford really didn't play a great game. Had a chance to tie it there at the end. Come back, missed Kyron Williams. What did you see out there?
Yeah, Tua has been better than Skylar Thompson and Tyler Huntley, but that's like not super surprising. He's been really a lot of dink and dunk, a lot of short stuff, but he's been moving the ball. Dolphins did not even hit 250 yards offense in this game, though. Neither team hit 5 yards per play. It was overall pretty sloppy in a game that really could have been a shootout. I mean, you could have seen both these offenses going up and down the field, and it ended up just kind of being uh, a lack of execution on both sides. I thought the Dolphins were able to make more plays when it mattered on third downs and keep on the field. Rams only 3 of 12 on third down, just not executing when they need to, like you said, missing Kyron for the touchdown late there. Um, this was one the Dolphins really needed to win, and they got it.
Yeah, when we look at the AFC versus the NFC, it's interesting. The Rams are 11th in the NFC, sitting at 4-5, while the Dolphins are 10th in the AFC, sitting at 3-6. I mean, looking at the upcoming schedules and the difference in the conferences, the Dolphins, after this win, have a much better chance of making the playoffs, I would say, than the Rams do.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are in an easier division with the NFC West kind of getting a little healthier, starting to play some really good football. I think this is going to be a theme that we see going forward each week. We're going to be talking about how NFC teams are going to be held to a higher standard than AFC teams. I'm not sure 10-7 it guarantees you playoffs in the NFC.
No, I'm looking last place in the NFC right now would be Packers at 6-3. You go over to the AFC, it's the Broncos at 5-5. Let's look at the Dolphins schedule coming up. Raiders, Patriots, Packers, Jets, Texans, 49ers, Browns, Jets. There are a lot of W's on there. 49ers will be a tough one. At the Packers will be a tough one, but if they go 6-2, they beat the Raiders, beat the Patriots, beat the Jets twice, beat the Browns. 9-8 probably gets into the playoffs in the AFC side.
I would think 9-8 is probably like some, tiebreaker or something or other. But yeah, 6-2 I think would be at a minimum what they have to do. And I really think like they're going to have to steal at least one from 49ers, Texans, and Packers.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go to Sunday Night Football. Lions defeat the Texans 26-23. You had the Lions -3.5. That's a tough one there. Winning by 3 points with five
Yeah.
interceptions. That's the story on the night. Goff, five interceptions, and they win the game. They overcome a 16-point deficit. They blank the Texans in the second half. They give the Lions get their seventh win in a row. CJ Stroud still struggling, 19 of 33, 232 yards, one touchdown, two picks. What's going on with the Texans? I mean, their record is still fine. Their division sucks. They're probably going to get into the playoffs, but with Nico out, Diggs out for the season. The offensive line struggling a bit. It's not looking great for CJ Stroud right now.
Yeah, the offensive line struggles are concerning. I do think getting Nico back will help them a little bit. I think teams are going to have to um, basically respect that a little bit more. Maybe a little more help over the top, help out the offensive line a little bit because they're playing a bit more coverage. Um, but I'm not super worried about Houston. I do think Detroit, especially their defense in the second half, that was a big step forward for them. They've struggled with pass rush ever since Aiden Hutchinson has gone down with the injury. And 4 sacks this week was definitely good for them to see. Uh, I needed Fairbairn to make that field goal if I wanted the 3.5 to hit at the end because the Lions were not getting stopped on that last
It's
drive. That's
funny
for
when
sure.
sometimes you put a bet in for a number like that and you're
Yeah,
rooting for the other team to tie the game. You're like, I need this OT for it to hit.
yeah.
This is like a
Honestly,
win.
that was on the snap. That wasn't on the kick. That snap was high.
Yeah. This is a win I love to see. This gives me more confidence in the Lions. The fact that Goff
Hmm.
can go out there, throw 5 interceptions, and they have all the other pieces around him on the team
Hmm.
where they can go out and get the victory. I will say all 5 interceptions, they were not all his fault. But this type of win gives me more confidence in a team like the Lions, who can stop the Lions. I mean, we're talking about the Chiefs going undefeated, but like the Lions the rest of the season, like they're going to be favorite in every game. Who's beating the Lions?
It's it's going to have to be a team that can stop the run. If you can't stop the run, or if you have issues with stopping the run, I think the Lions, everything what they want to do predicates off of that. So basically, they're going to run it, and then hit you with the play action. And that's exactly their first option at all times. And I thought Houston did a pretty good job of that. I think there are some NFC teams that can stop the run. Uh, I think the Eagles, 49ers, when healthy, could still give them games, but they definitely look like the best team right now.
Yeah. Thursday night football. Ravens defeat the Bengals 35-34. Burrow was kind of doing that like Brady thing in Tampa where a 5 yard check down pass is kind of the same thing as a run. I mean, he hit Chase
Mhm.
Brown like a million times throughout that game. Jamar
Yeah,
Chase, unstoppable. Why not go to Jamar Chase on that 2 point
yeah,
conversion? That was the only thing that bugged me about that play at the end.
yeah, yeah. Um, I absolutely agree. I think a lot of those
The announcer
passes.
said it twice. He was like, "All right, you got your guy, take your
Mm,
shot." And then
yeah.
second time around, "All right, you got him again, take your shot." If they throw to Jamar and he doesn't make the play, I can live with that loss. But
Hmm.
having the opportunity there, not taking it, and then looking for the flags, I don't. Those penalties were weak. I don't want to hear about those. That's what bothered me the most. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm going back to your earlier point. I absolutely agree that the passes to the running back were essentially an extension of the running game for them. The Bengals have been like statistically horrible in their run blocking this year. Chase Brown has been pretty inefficient running the ball, but he's actually done a decent job. He's over expected rushing yards. He essentially has no room ever. So especially this Ravens run defense is pretty solid. Their pass defense is awful. So using that as kind of an extension, getting some easy yardage, I thought was a pretty good game plan.
Yeah. Tylan Wallace. You ever heard of this guy?
Yeah,
You have fourth
yeah, I believe.
season. He's had 9 catches total in 4 seasons. Goes
Hmm.
3 for 3, 115 yards and a touchdown. Uh,
Hmm.
without him, I mean, think the Bengals may have taken this game.
He was an absolute stud out of Oklahoma State. I remember kind of earlier in his career. I mean, people were talking about him being like a future first round pick and stuff. He ended up, I think he got a little dinged up later in his career at Oklahoma State, ended up falling a bit, but he had a huge punt return for the Ravens last year. It's been limited work for him, but he has made some plays for them.
Yeah. Watching this game though, I mean, Baltimore's secondary is 25th in the NFL. Bengals secondary 26th in the NFL. This is going to be a high scoring game no matter what. That Baltimore defense though, it scares me though. It really does. I don't care if they can put up 30 points and run the ball on anyone. Having that bad of a secondary, it's going to cost you at some point.
Yeah, I thought for sure we'd see them try and make a move or something to help basically fill out that secondary. Um, and shore up the pass defense, but uh, I think their offense is essentially going to have to just help their defense. I think it's going to be one of those where you try and lean on teams, possess the ball, and try and
Longer drives,
work
take up
work
time,
time of possession a
TOP.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, Bengals 4-6. We both thought they would lose that game. They did. We didn't believe that would kill their season. Coming up, they got Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers. Again, the AFC, much easier side. Can the Bengals still win some of these games and get into the playoffs?
yeah. I mean, we're pretty much going to find out these next 2 weeks with at LA and then home against the Steelers. Because after that, they basically have like three freebies.
Correct.
So if they can get hot with those two, roll into the next three. I mean, you could see a serious win streak going. But they have to, at minimum, take one of those two, I believe.
Yeah. All right. Chiefs defeat the Broncos 16-14. This is the ninth straight game that the Chiefs have been trailing at some point in the second half and won the game. What they're doing is ridiculous. That blocked field goal at the end, it's not luck. It's game planning, great special teams. You think it's luck? You're giving me a look over there. I think the Chiefs are just so much
No,
better
no,
in every asset uh than every other team right now. I mean, Bo Nix had a really good game. Probably one of his best games, 22 of 30,
mm,
215, two touchdowns. He had a final drive with the ball to set up the field goal. Exactly what they wanted. Chiefs still end up with the victory.
yeah, no, I thought the Broncos played a great game, but that's what it is. Like every time it comes down to the fourth quarter, the Chiefs just execute. Doesn't matter, defense, special teams, offense. Like somebody just steps up and makes a play.
Kareem
Uh,
Hunt, leading receiver on the Chiefs this week, 7 for 10, 65 yards. I mean, that guy wasn't even on a team. What was it? 2 months ago.
yeah, yeah. I've honestly been a little bit surprised with the Chiefs' injuries to all their wideouts that we haven't seen more of Mahomes throwing to his running backs. This is a thing we've seen in the past. Jerick McKinnon catching a ton of balls, Kareem Hunt, earlier on catching a ton of balls. I thought when P Ryan came here, he was going to see a ton of that, basically passing game work, and it hadn't really been a thing yet. But that's more of what I expect to see out of the running backs, especially with teams sitting back. The flats should be open.
Yeah. The Chiefs are at the Bills this week. Gotta be the game of the week.
Yeah.
Let's move over. Cardinals defeating the Jets 31-6. Cardinals are now 6-4. Kyler Murray's on fire. Their defense has not allowed a touchdown in 2 weeks. Jets have lost 5 of the last 6 games. Aaron Rodgers is still cooked. I think everyone needs to go. QB, coach, GM, everything. They can't keep going down this road. The fans can't keep seeing this. It's terrible. Rodgers is the issue. They let go of Saleh. Without Saleh, they are so much worse. I want to read some of these off. Points per game allowed, about 8 more. Touchdowns allowed, 6 with Saleh, 15 without Saleh. Yards per game allowed, about 100 more yards per game allowed without Saleh. Takeaways with Saleh, 6, without 1. I mean, you can go up and down the board. Without Saleh, they're worse. It was a bad decision. Uh, Woody Johnson looks terrible. The Jets look terrible. I just think they need to get rid of everything. I mean, literally get rid of everything. Keep Kinlaw, keep Quinnen Williams, move the entire rest of the team. Change your logo, change your
It's
colors, change I don't. It's bad.
Yeah, there's no reason that this offense should struggle this bad. I know the Cardinals have been coming on, but and in the last couple weeks, that defense has looked pretty legit. But this was a straight up beatdown. This is one of the more one-sided games we've seen all year. I mean, the score doesn't even necessarily do it justice. There's no reason the Jets offense shouldn't be able to function. You might have the best group of weapons in the entire NFL. Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, two very good running backs. You now have Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, two maybe one of the best 1-2 wide receivers. I mean, you could argue tight end maybe, but Conklin's pretty serviceable. There's no reason that this team shouldn't be able to score points. Aaron Rodgers is just that bad. He really is. The Cardinals ran 57 plays of offense. They didn't even really run a ton of plays. They had 28 first downs. I mean, that's first down every other play. You're not stopping them. at all. They just basically walked down the field every single time. Kyler had 2 incompletions the entire game. This was just a beatdown. They can't stop anybody and they can't score.
Yeah, so the Cardinals are leading the NFC West at 6-4. Got a bunch of division games coming up. Can the Cardinals make the playoffs? I mean, can they make the playoffs?
They
Yes. Will they make the playoffs?
yeah so
I mean, the
they
way
got
I see it
Seattle.
right now is I believe only one team from the NFC West is going to get in just with the strength of the NFC. Or do you think two can get
I
in?
I think San Fran is going to get there. I still think San Fran wins that division,
I do too.
but Arizona still has 2 games against Seattle, a game against the Patriots, and a game against the Panthers. That gets them to 10 wins. Steal something somewhere else or something. Like I really do think that the way this Arizona team is playing, like you're looking at a wild card team.
Yeah. Let's go to the team we're talking about. 49ers defeating the Bucks 23-20. The 49ers won this game on a walk-off field goal. But the field goals came tough for the 49ers. Jake Moody, off an injury, goes 3 for 6, and that really pissed Deebo Samuel off. He let him know during the game that he had an issue with him missing kicks. Thought it's pretty out of line for Deebo to do that to a kicker. What about you?
I honestly like the way he did it, like grabbing him in the neck, whatever, not great. But I mean, kickers are members of the team too. If like somebody's messing up on the sideline, like you'll see some guys pick it up, but some guys like need to be essentially yelled at. Like Brady absolutely on the sideline would go yell at some of his teammates, something because it's meant to pick them up, because it's meant to essentially get them to lock in. And if Debo knows like him going over and saying that to Moody is going to help, or at least like push him to like lock in, then that's what he's got to do as a teammate. I don't have a problem with that. Obviously, it ended up working. Moody ended up making the game-winning field goal. I don't know if the process of going for the neck, whatever, is great, but I'm not against going after a kicker or something if you think as a teammate that that's something they need.
Yeah. I have a little bit different of a stance on it. I don't the kicking is it's way more mental aspect than what Debo is doing. So to go
I
over
agree.
there and do that to him could mess with his psyche. I mean, obviously it didn't, but yeah, I didn't like the look of it. Purdy goes
I
25 of 36, 353, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Best game of the season for Purdy. And I don't think it is a coincidence that Christian McCaffrey was playing.
Yeah, I mean, he made some impressive throws. This Buccaneers defense has been awful, awful,
Mm-hmm.
awful lately. So it's not super surprising, but there were some impressive throws and impressive plays made by Brock with guys in his face, putting it on the money downfield.
Yeah. Again, you just said it. The Bucks defense is terrible. Bucks 4 losses in a row now. All 4 of these games could have been W's. 10 points to the Ravens, 31-26 Falcons, 30-24 Chiefs last week, 23-20 49ers. Coming up next, Giants, Panthers, Raiders. I mean, they're putting up games against really good teams. I think the Bucks are going to come back on a heater next couple weeks here.
Yeah, but again, they're in the NFC though. You now have 6 losses in the NFC. You can't really afford anything else. I know you're in the NFC South, so it's possible 10-7 wins that division, but you really can't be taking any more losses, especially not against teams of those caliber.
Yeah. 49ers tend to start like this every year. Last year, 5-3 after 8 games, 2022, 4-4 after 8 games, 21, 3-5 after 8 games, 2020, 4-4 after 8 games. I feel like we forget this every year. Every year we're like, oh shoot, 49ers are struggling. And then the second half of the year, they pick it up, they turn it on, they get going when the playoffs get going. Why is
It
that?
seems like it seems like every year they get catch the injury bug early, lose some guys, then they catch like a little cold patch. They had like I want to say they started off hot last year. They started off like 5-0,
They did, and then
but
they dropped
then they
3 right
lost
away.
like 3 or
Yep.
4 in a row.
Hmm.
They got dinged up. Debo was out, and the offense stopped clicking
Maybe
like
it's
it
the
was.
physical style play that
It,
their
it
offense
is.
runs. I don't know.
They need their guys. Like their offense is predicated on Debo being on the field to do his job, McCaffrey being on the field to do what he does, Kittle to do what he does. Like Kittle is not really replaceable. Debo not really replaceable. Like you can't really put guys that do what they do into their positions.
I
So
love watching
having
Kittle.
those
If he
guys
catches
healthy,
his ball, if he catches the ball, like tackling him requires an extra 10 yards. Like,
I would say Derrick Henry is probably the least I would want to tackle anybody in the NFL. George Kittle might be second.
yeah, I agree. Eagles defeat the Cowboys 34-6. A good team played a bad team, and this is what happens. The Eagles are very good, and the Cowboys are very bad. I want to get to the Sun issue.
Way to go,
Uh,
Jared.
yeah, so CeeDee Lamb missed a touchdown pass, easy grab. Sun was in his eyes, couldn't see the ball. Jerry said, "Well, let's tear down the stadium and build another one," sarcastically. Uh, Apparently, the event coordinators at Jerry World said that the sun coming in is strictly Jerry's decision. For concerts, for events at night, we close them. We have the blinds up. He just wants this for aesthetic reasons to make it look like you're outside and inside at the same time. I
I
think
mean,
this is almost like literally this is a non-story unless it comes from the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. And then it's like,
yeah, I mean, there's like design things. Like I know Hard Rock Stadium, where the Dolphins play, has the hole in the roof, and it basically the sun comes in on the away sideline, so they got to bake in the heat.
mm-hmm.
Uh, if you could guarantee that the other team is always having to look into the sun or something, like I get it as like a design thing, but like, dude, you literally just hurt your own team by being an idiot. I don't get it.
I was told that the designers of the stadium wanted to build it east-west because like they thought
Yeah.
about the sun. And Jerry was like, no, I want it north-south so that we can get the sun in there and make it look like we're outside. It's just a joke all around. What's the plan for the Cowboys? I mean, Dak's done, but you paid him.
Mhm.
I think you got to sell Micah and get a bunch of first round picks and at least make this offense viable next year.
Yeah,
What would you do?
I think you tank this season. I mean, Dak's out for the year, surgery. I don't think now is a horrible time to see what you have with Trey Lance. Cooper Rush, like if he could game manage enough that you could maybe win some games or steal some,
I think
fine.
there's an argument to it's kind of like what the 49ers did with Trey Lance, where if you play him, it puts tape out there on how bad he is. And if he's not playing, there's just no
You're
tape on him. I mean,
he's past the point that you're trying to flip him. You're the one that got flipped too, basically. Like you went out and made the move. I think you got to see what you got. Like if he sucks at this point, like his value's already like you can't just not play for 4 years and then people be like, oh no, he'll still be good. Like Jerry was the only one stupid enough to trade for him after the whole saga before. Like
for a
nobody else
fourth
is
round
making.
pick.
Yeah, nobody else is making that move now. Like maybe a seventh somewhere, but I doubt it. I think at this point there's more value in just playing him and seeing what you have. Uh, I think this team is definitely just going to lose a ton of games. Their schedule isn't even easy at all. They still have like a ton of tough opponents. I think ideally, like you finish maybe 4 or 5 wins. You have a pick around 7 or 8. I know a lot of people have been pegging Genty to go there because they need a running back. Um, you are a little bit win now when Dak comes back, so I don't actually hate taking a running back in that situation. I do think taking a guy like an Abdul Carter, though, helping that defensive line, really giving them a pass rush boost would be really nice. But yeah, I think this season's pretty much a lost cause for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Last one we're going to talk about here. Steelers defeat the Commanders 30. I have that number wrong. What was
28
this?
27. 28
28
27
27.
Steelers.
Steelers defeat the Commanders 28-27. Russ, as the starter for the Steelers, goes 3-0. This was a great game. I love the way it ended. Mike Tomlin, headset off. Kind of reminded me of that meme where that guy's like, these nuts. Ha, got him. I wonder how that'll sound on the microphone, but I love the way that game ended. Russ doing his little dance. The Commanders' defense is trash. This type of stuff happens when your defense is ranked 28th. You jump off sides. Jaden Daniels struggled 17 of 34, 202, no touchdowns. Steelers off a bye, getting points. I said it. I mean, I didn't know if they would win. It's exactly what happened, but just based on principle, I had to do it. Mike Williams, first catch as a Steeler, touchdown. Couldn't do that with the Jets. Couldn't do that with Aaron Rodgers, but worked here, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't given an opportunity at the Jets. Aaron Rodgers was much more happy throwing the ball to Alan Lazard and making sure that Mike Williams got no opportunity. Mike Williams has proved it time and time again. When he's healthy, he's absolutely an elite wide receiver in the NFL. He can go up and get the ball. He can cause problems for the defense, and he's the perfect kind of guy to pair with Russell. I was a little concerned by the Steelers' output offensively in this game. I know Najee got dinged up at one point, but they only averaged about 4 yards per play against this Washington defense, which has not been great. But they seem to have kind of a formula for how they're going to win. They're going to, possess the ball, run the ball, and let the defense work. And it seems to be matching up with what Russell is comfortable with.
Yeah, what is the ceiling for the Steelers this year? I mean, Russ has a Super Bowl. Can they get to the Super Bowl? Going
I
going
think
through the AFC is a little tough. Chiefs, Ravens, Bills,
yeah,
probably all
they're,
better teams at this time.
they're built to be an annoying team. They're not a team you really want to play in the playoffs because
I
it's going to be
agree.
an ugly
I
game.
agree.
Especially you catch like a bad weather game or something. They got no problem running the ball. That defense is going to cause some havoc. Uh, they could absolutely be a little bit of a spoiler in the AFC. I'm not going to, go out there and say they're making the AFC Championship, making the Super Bowl, but they're
I
not
think
really a team that I want
if
to
it
play
was
in
to
the
start
playoffs.
right now, I believe they'd be playing the Texans. And I see them winning a playoff game against a team like that.
I
And
mean,
then,
with how the Texans' offensive line has been recently,
yeah,
that would be a nightmare matchup for them.
absolutely. All right, let's get to our power rankings. At 10, we got the 49ers, 5-4. This is pretty much strictly because Christian McCaffrey's back. Didn't have a great game, but he's back. Ricky Pearsall's coming along. They tend to finish the season very strong. At 9, we got the Commanders, 7-3. Number 3 scoring offense. Jaden Daniels struggled versus the Steelers. Their defense is not there. They're probably a year or two away. At 8, I got the Vikings, 7-2. 12-7, beating the Jags. Darnold played terrible, 3 interceptions and still won. This was a lot like the Lions win. I like to see this. These are the types of wins that at the end of the season matter. At 7, Chargers, 6-3, number 1 defense in the NFL. Their W's are against Titans, Browns, Saints, Broncos, Panthers, Raiders. Not great teams. Their schedule toughens up. I want to see how they do the rest of the way. At 6, we got the Eagles, 7-2, 5-game win streak. Defense has hit their stride, and they are 6-0 when AJ Brown plays. At 5, we got the Steelers, 7-2, 4-game win streak. The deep ball is back in Pitt. Number 2 scoring defense. At 4, the Bills, 8-2, plus 13 turnover differential. That leads the NFL. Their weapons are injured right now. Might play, but they're dinged up. Kincaid, Coleman playing the Chiefs this week. That worries me. At 3, Ravens, 7-3, number 1 offense, number 27 defense. That's scary. Lamar is playing at another MVP level season, but that defense is very bothersome moving forward. At 2, Lions, 8-1. They're on a 7-game win streak. They played terrible and they still won. I love it. That shows the quality of a really good team. And at 1, we got the Chiefs, 9-0, number 4 scoring defense, best third down percentage in the NFL. 15-game win streak. Chiefs on top. So when we look at this, I mean, 5 of the top 7 teams, AFC. But when we scroll out to 13, 14 teams, 8 or 9 of them are NFC.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how Packers aren't top 10. Panthers, 2 wins in a row, probably got to get them in there as well. But yeah, outside of that,
I have the Cards at 11 and I have the Packers at 12.
Packers at 12 is crazy.
I don't know if the 49ers deserve that 10th spot, but I believe they're about to really get going. stay inside that top 10. The Vikings at 7-2, ahead of the Packers. That's probably what gets them in there. By the end of the season, I do expect the Packers to be in that top 10, though. All right. Like you just said, Panthers 2-game win streak. Didn't crack the top 10, but I got to be honest here. They beat New Orleans and then they beat the Giants. Bryce Young didn't throw for more than 170 yards in each game. A lot of hype for a lot of nothing.
I'm just telling you, Panthers on a bye this week. Chiefs, Bills, emotional win for the Chiefs. Another tight game, crazy finish. Panthers catch them napping next week. Panthers first team to beat the Chiefs this year. It just makes too much sense.
I can see that actually. Yeah, off a bye. Kansas City going to have an emotional win versus the Bills. All right. We'll write it down, record it, see what happens in 2 weeks. Panthers get that second game in a row for the win against the Giants in Germany. I want to shout out our German listener. We have a guy from Germany. He's listening every week, always within the first hour it's downloaded. We appreciate you. Hit us up. We want to know if you went to the game. If you went to the game, let us know. But appreciate you guys listening over in Germany. Let's get over to Caleb Williams. This week, 16 of 30, 120 yards. Drake Maye beats Caleb Williams 19-6. 0 touchdowns the last 2 weeks for Caleb Williams. 23 straight drives, no touchdowns. Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator, fired. Something had to happen.
Did you see the JSN video talking about him?
I did not.
This was kind of old, but basically he was on like a Chicago, I don't know if it was a radio station podcast. They basically asked him like, hey, like how we're getting Shane Waldron, your offensive coordinator, like what can we expect? And he was basically like, is this live? Oh, he's a good person. That's what he said about it. That's not exactly a great thing to hear about your new offensive coordinator.
No, Caleb Williams is getting worse. Their points, their total yards, their touchdown, their third down percentage, it's all worse from last year. What's really concerning is third down percentage. It's almost 20% worse. That is a ton. It's terrible. Drake Maye looks better. Bo Nix looks better. Jaden Daniels obviously looks better.
He's played head to head Jaden Daniels and Drake Maye in the last few weeks and just flat out got outplayed in both of them.
I'm looking at the past couple weeks though. So his completion percentage is 51%. Pretty bad, pretty terrible. It's awful. But 0 interceptions over these last couple weeks, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That tells me that it's not so much Caleb as it is the coaching, that he's not taking shots. He doesn't understand.
Caleb. He took 9 sacks this week.
I understand.
He
okay,
threw,
so
he threw for 120 yards. He took so many sacks that their total passing yardage was half of that. He's holding on to the ball. He's not seeing it. He's holding on to the ball. I get like, yeah, maybe the passing concepts aren't that good or something.
So
but like,
on PFF, they do these type of stats. How many turnover worthy plays do you think Caleb Williams has over the past 3 weeks?
It's PFF. It could be any number. Who knows?
1. He has 1 turnover worthy play and 0 interceptions, which says he's
How
not
many
taking
touchdown worthy plays does he have?
Well, that's the point. They're not taking shots. They're not doing it. He's scared to throw it. He doesn't know where the receivers are going to be.
So if he's
It's
scared
getting
to
worse.
throw it and he's holding it too long and taking sacks, how's that any better?
But my point is that's got to be on coaching, scheming, what they're doing. I don't think it's so much on him. It's not his. I don't think it's.
I mean, that to me sounds like Bryce Young last year. That's what that sounds like. That has not really worked out.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Let's get to Drake Maye. He looks decent with Hunter Henry and a bunch of dudes. 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 84 passer rating, 60% completion percentage. Honestly, not so bad with the 31st pass blocking O-line in the league. And you're like, oh, 31st pass blocking, maybe they'll be good at run blocking. Nope, 32nd ranked run blocking O-line. So basically what I'm seeing is he's a little like Herbert. Herbert came into the league, terrible O-line, put up great numbers. Are his numbers as good as Herbert? No, but he kind of got the run game like him, throwing the ball pretty good.
I think Herbert I think Herbert had a little bit better as far as weapons to throw to. To start, Keenan Allen wasn't completely washed. Mike Williams when he was healthy. Austin Eckler more in his prime. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great comparison.
Yeah. If we can get 84% passer rating, 60% completion. If we can get passer rating up into the 90s, get that completion percentage up a couple points, 63, 64, and
Mm,
just see a little bit better touchdown interception ratio moving into next year. I mean, I really like what we have, and I'm about ready to buy
yeah.
my Drake May jersey.
To clarify, I'm not saying that Drake May is like Herbert. I think Herbert has a much better arm. Drake May, mobility wise, probably a little bit better there. But yeah,
But that was the
I think
comp coming out of
team
college,
composition.
and I think it is proving to somewhat be.
I think team composition that makes sense. I think this is going to be a very big draft for the Patriots because I think with May you're going to win enough games going forward. You're not going to have too many high picks. This is probably going to be like your 1 year where you're looking at like potentially like a top 5, top 7 pick. You either need a hit on offensive line or playmaker somewhere. Maybe offensive line first round, double back. I'd love to see them get more of like a speed guy out of the backfield. Ramondre is like kind of just 3-4 yards, cloud of dust.
We
I'd love to
don't.
see him get like
Ramon,
a
I'm not a fan of Ramondre.
yeah. I'd love to see him get like a Dylan Sampson type out of Tennessee, like a speed, dynamic, um, potentially using him in the pass game. I think that would give him a lot of juice.
Yeah, we got to get the O line fixed before he gets killed. O line, run game. Take the Chargers type of method. Have a solid defense.
Yeah.
Let him make 24 throws a game.
Hmm.
All right, let's get into fantasy. Crazy thing happened this week. I sent it to you. I want to shout out
Ooh.
Dustin and Luke. So Thursday night game, tons of fantasy scoring. This kid in our league had Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Jamar Chase on his team. So after Thursday night, he's sitting with a 104-0 lead. That's kind of tough when you haven't even made it to Sunday yet, and you're like, I'm taking an L. Uh, anyway, who boomed this week?
Wait, did he end up winning?
Yeah, the rest of his team stunk it up, and I think he went for like
He,
150.
but he still won. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you put up 104 with 3 players on a Thursday,
Yeah.
you can shut your phone off and open it next week.
Obviously, you just mentioned it, but Chase and or Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow in that game, Lamar as well. Just big shootout game. Anytime you get something like that, I mean, you're gonna have big points on both sides. A couple of the bigger names, Bijan, he's been awesome the last 5 weeks. Coincidentally, I traded him 5 weeks ago. So um, Kyler, great game against the Jets. Jalen Hurts, great game against Dallas. These are quarterbacks that were just basically blew out teams, put up some touchdowns. And then a couple wide receivers, a little bit surprising with 2 touchdowns. MVS against Atlanta. I didn't even realize that guy was on a roster. Over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, classic MVS stat line. And then Calvin Ridley, another 2 touchdowns in a game against a good Chargers defense.
Yeah, honestly, other than what you read, there wasn't a ton of booms this
No,
week, so I'll throw a couple defenses in there. Whenever the defense get into the 20s, I love it. Bills D 20 points and Eagles D 23 points. If you're playing the Cowboys, you're gonna put up points on D.
yes.
Week 10 bust. Who busted this week?
Mentioned this name a few times lately, I feel like, on the bus list. Xavier Worthy, he had 1 catch against Denver. It seems like every week we have somebody on the bus list that's a wide receiver playing against the Broncos. It's just a really solid pass defense. This one hurt me to my core because Amari Cooper was out. I started Jalen McMillan because I was told that he was active, and then he didn't play a single snap. So that was a 0. Dalton Kincaid, this was a pretty good offensive output day for the Bills. Kincaid ended up with only 2 catches. He's been a bit disappointing. DJ Moore, really all of the Chicago pass catchers. We talked about that offense is just not doing anything.
I didn't
Uh,
realize this. I saw this week. So DJ Moore is obviously frustrated with
mhm,
how it's going. And he was a big advocate for Justin Fields to stay. DJ Moore had
mhm,
his best year ever with Justin Fields.
yeah.
I didn't realize this. DJ Moore has had a different starting quarterback in each of his 8 seasons in the NFL. So he finally find one that he connects with and they ship him out. Then they bring a rookie in and he struggles again. So completely understand why DJ Moore is so frustrated. He is
I
one
mean,
of the best wide receivers in the NFL and can't
yeah,
get a quarterback to throw him a good football. So yeah, interesting fact there.
yeah. I would not be surprised if he was one of the proponents asking for Tyson Bagent to be a quarterback because at least he had played with him from last year. And then lastly, CeeDee Lamb, but really all of the Dallas Cowboys players, they're just probably not going to be super reliably startable going forward.
I'll throw in Brian Thomas Jr., three
Yeah.
points for Jacksonville. And then Sam Darnold, 6 points. And Justin Jefferson, 9 points. When you're playing Jacksonville and that secondary, you'd expect a little better fantasy performance out of them. All right,
Yeah.
week 11. A couple teams on buys here. We got Panthers and Giants on a buy after their Germany game. The
Dang.
Bucks are on a buy. They really need it. And the Cardinals are on a buy. Who are the starts this week for week 11 fantasy football?
So, coming off a bye, in a dome against the defense that just almost gave up 200-yard receivers, we got Cedric Tillman playing the New Orleans Saints. This is an awesome matchup. New Orleans just shipped out their best corner. They gave up 90 plus to Mooney and London last week. I think this is another great spot for Tillman. He's been on fire lately. I'm gonna go Quentin Johnston playing Cincinnati. We've seen that their defense is not good. He's been a bit boomer bust, but I think this is a fantastic matchup. I would not be surprised to see him getting in the end zone at least once this week. And lastly, I'm gonna go Russell Wilson. Great streaming option if you need it. Playing against a Baltimore team that just got absolutely diced up by the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that Quentin Johnston. I don't think he's ever been on our start list, but he is this week.
Mm.
We're going to add Lad McConkey to that. Cincinnati's defense is terrible. Kareem Hunt versus the Bills. The Bills have a strong secondary. I expect the Chiefs to run the ball a ton. Hunt to get a bunch of passing work again.
Yeah,
Lastly, I got Pickens versus Baltimore. That secondary is absolutely terrible. I think this is one of those games Pickens gets a 60, 70 yarder,
yeah.
goes off. Week 11 sits. Who you got?
I got Tony Pollard against the Vikings. The Vikings defense has been solid, and Tony Pollard last week was held. He only had 9 carries with Tyjae Spears being back fully healthy. It looks like some of his work is being kind of cut into a little bit there. I don't think it's a great week for him. Kirk Cousins has been pretty solid for the last little bit, throwing a lot of touchdowns, throwing for a lot of yards. They're playing the Broncos this week, though. So if you've been streaming him at quarterback, it's time to find somebody else. And then Rico Dowdle, Houston's run defense was really solid against the Lions. I don't see the Cowboys really being able to run the ball. They probably aren't going to really be able to pass the ball either. So Rico Dowdle's in a bad spot this week, and honestly, kind of going forward.
Uh, I got Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy here versus Buffalo. Like I said, I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. Buffalo's secondary is solid, so that kind of eliminates Xavier Worthy a little bit. Fryermuth versus Baltimore. Baltimore is allowing 14.3 points per game for tight ends. Their secondary is trash as well, so I think they're going to be scared with the over the top stuff. And Fryermuth's going to sneak open a bunch. All right, waiver wire. I mean, not too much here. You said Russ. He's out there
Yeah.
on a lot of leagues for quarterbacks.
Mhm.
Jonnu Smith, tight end, is maybe serviceable, can get you 7 or 8 points with Tua back in there. Texans defense is playing the Cowboys this week. They are pretty much on everyone's waiver wire. So they're available. Who else you got
Yeah.
on there?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of names. If Audric Estime is out there, I'd go grab him as a flyer option. The Broncos haven't seemed super happy with their running back room. Looked like they were going to go hot hand route. This past week, Estime had 3 good carries to start, and they basically just stuck with him. He had a majority share of the runs in Denver. He's not really much of a pass catcher, but definitely could get you a touchdown. So maybe a guy to stash. If Jawan Jennings is still out there, like he has a very serious role in this 49ers offense. He's probably not available in many leagues, but if he is, you need to go get him. And then lastly, if Taysom Hill's out there, he ran a ton of routes this week actually for New Orleans. They're kind of lacking some playmakers, and he's a guy that they'll look to. So if you need a tight end, he is definitely a good option.
Yeah, I saw him. He was on my team this week, and I got that
Mhm.
notification. It popped up. It was like Taysom Hill 25-yard catch, and I was like, "Ooh, nice."
Well, he had an 80 something yard touchdown called back to it a penalty
Hmm.
in the
I
game.
wa With red zone. I wasn't watching
Yeah,
whole much of
it
that
was
Falcons
it was
Saints game.
basically like a dump off. He broke a tackle and then went. It was like 85 yards, but it got called back for holding.
All right, let's get to the gambling. We will go through the lines here. Thursday, this is a great game. Commanders at the Eagles. Eagles are a 3.5 point favorite. Sunday, no morning game. Back to that 1 p.m. slate. Packers at the Bears. Bears getting 6. Vikings at Titans. Titans getting 6. Jaguars at Lions. Lions favored by 13. Ravens at Steelers. Steelers getting 3. Rams at Patriots. Patriots getting 5. I will be going to that game. Colts at Jets. Jets -4. Raiders at Dolphins. Dolphins -7.5. Browns at Saints. Saints -1. 4 p.m. window, we get Seahawks at 49ers. 49ers favored by 6.5. Falcons at Broncos. Broncos -2.5. Chiefs at Bills. Bills -2.5. At night, we get Bengals at Chargers. Chargers favored by 1.5. That game was flexed into that spot to get the Colts and the Jets out of there. Good thing they did that. Monday, we get Texans at Cowboys. Cowboys getting 7.5. What is the most must-win game of the week?
I've got it on the Rams, especially in the NFC. You can't really afford many more losses. They did not look good against the Dolphins. They're playing the Patriots this week. Patriots been looking decent. You cannot lose that game for the Rams.
I agree. I think the must-win game of the week is for the Rams. Off a short week,
Mm.
traveling across the country. It's gonna be tough, but yeah, that's the must-win game of the week. All right, last week I went 2-1. You went 1-2. That brings my overall to 13-18. Brings Andrew to 16, 13-1. The last month as a podcast, we've been hot. Last month I've been 10-3. Last month Andrew has been 7-5. What are your bets of the week for week 11 in the NFL?
All right, I'm starting with divisional matchup. I've got the Green Bay Packers -6 at Chicago. I know they just fired their coaches and everything, but the culture is no good there in Chicago. I think Green Bay is going to come in ready to roll these guys. I'm gonna take that Sunday night game. Give me the Chargers -1.5 playing the Bengals. I don't think the Chargers have given up more than 20 points this year. I find it hard to believe that the Chargers aren't going to score at least 24 against the Bengals. I like them to cover that. And then lastly, give me the crazy one. I'll take Detroit -13 versus Jacksonville. I think Detroit's dropping at least 30 in this game. I don't see Jacksonville really putting up a ton of points with what they've got going on offense.
All right, I like it. I'm taking the Falcons +2.5. I feel like last week everyone took the Falcons and it burned them. This week they're coming back. They're playing the Broncos. The Broncos need to lose some games. They're not winning 10 games. So I think the
Mhm.
Falcons win. Give me the Falcons +2.5. Chiefs +2.5. They haven't lost yet. I mean, it just doesn't make sense that they're getting points. The Bills are banged up too. I really don't get it. This should be a Chiefs favored. I don't understand this one. I'll take Chiefs 2.5. And then I'm with you on the Lions -13. Jared Goff threw 5 picks last week. He's going to want to come back this week and throw 5 touchdowns and absolutely destroy the Jags. I don't think the Jags can cover 13. I like big lines. For when I take them, I mean, I feel like they normally hit. But all right, those are our bets of the week. Lock them in. Good luck to Andrew this week. He's playing in Bermuda. How's the weather there?
It was blowing at least 25 to 30 today. I think it's going to be pretty consistent to that all week, so should be an adventure.
Practice those stingers.
Yep.
All right. A lot of good matchups this week. Can't wait for it. Get to sleep in on Sunday a little bit. Don't have to get up for the early one. Our German listener, hit us up. Good luck to everyone out there. Andrew, any last words?
Yeah. Panthers stand undefeated 3 weeks in a row. Let's go.
All right. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. New episodes drop Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate y'all listening.